This conference will now be recorded.
Into it. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay. So, good evening, Simone. Good morning. Good evening, Tara and Leticia. Good. Okay. Everyone can say hello to our in-persons and our onliners. Okay. Good. So, Chanukah. When is Chanukah?
Next Sunday.
Sunday night, the 25th of Kislev. Okay. Why the 25th of Kislev? Well, let's go slow. So, what is Hanukkah all about? Hanukkah is one of the two rabbinic holidays that we have. Okay? There are two rabbinic holidays that align with two of the three pilgrimage holidays. Okay? We have Rosh Hashanah, we have Yom Kippur, not pilgrimage holidays. Okay? We've got Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, are three pilgrimage holidays, and there ultimately will be three. Right now, there are two rabbinic holidays which align with pilgrimage holidays. The two are, of course,
Purim.
rabbinic, Hanukkah and Purim.
Purim.
Okay, what does Hanukkah align with? Good. Esther said Hanukkah aligns with Sukkot. Why would Hanukkah align with Sukkot?
8 days.
Okay, they're both 8 days. Well, actually, Sukkot is really 7 days. And then we have the Shmini Atzeret, separate holiday, as the 8th day. No, I'm kidding. Right? Right? So why 8 days? So why is it aligned with Sukkot? Thank you very much. Why aligned with Sukkot? So what does the Sukkah represent? The clouds of glory. When did the clouds of glory return? On the 5th, we lost them by the Chet HaEgel, by the sin of the golden calf. When did they return? On the 15th of Tishrei, when we started the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. So the Mishkan was where we had God's presence over us very much, and that brought back the Naniya Kavod. And therefore, Chanukah is a rededication of that Beit HaMikdash. Which temple are we talking about when this happened? Second temple, right? Interesting that the Greek exile, Galut Yavan, took place while we were in Israel with the Beit HaMikdash standing. Because Galut is not so much the location of where we are, but it has to do with our relationship with God. Okay? Are we close or are we distant? There's a very, very famous and fundamental and beautiful Ramban where he explains the the essence of each. Thank you. Where he where he explained. I have to change my tone of my voice. Where he explains where he explains the essence of each of the books of the Torah. Each one, we don't have one Torah. We have 5 Chumashim comprising the Torah. Interesting question. Do I make a bracha on this or not?
Yes, you saw one.
Huh? Why?
You saw one.
Do you make a bracha on medicine?
No, I was gonna say if it's not satisfying you, then no problem.
Right? But this is actually somewhat candy-like, flavorful. Yeah. I will make a bracha. Bracha Torah. The book of Shemot, he says, is the book of exile and redemption.
You said the Ramban?
Ramban, Nachmanides. The book of Shemot, Exodus, that is the book of exile and redemption. And that's why even though we had already gone down to Egypt towards the end of Bereshit, it starts again, and these are the names of the children of Israel who went down to Egypt. Why? Because you need to start. The Torah is not a history book. Each book, each chelek, each portion, each chumash has its own motif. So this is the book of exile and redemption. So it starts with going down to Egypt. What's the redemption?
The building of the Mishkan?
Okay, so I might have thought that the redemption is leaving from Egypt. That's not the end of the book. I might have thought that the redemption is receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai. That's not the end of the book. That's in the middle. I might have thought that it's entering Israel. That doesn't even happen in the entire Torah. That's in Joshua and Yoshua and the prophets. What is the very, very end of Shemot? What is the redemption? And the cloud covered the tent of meeting. The glory of Hashem filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting, for the cloud rested upon it, and the glory of Hashem filled the tabernacle. When the cloud was raised, we would embark on our journeys. The cloud did not rise up, they would not embark until the day it rose up. For the last pasuk, for the cloud of Hashem would be on the tabernacle by day, and fire would be on it at night, for the eyes of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys. So what is Geula? And this is outside of Israel, of course. This is in the desert. What is Geula? Hashem's presence. So Chanukah is called, or the period leading up to Chanukah was called the Galut, the exile of Yavan. Even though we were in Israel, even though we had a temple, it had been defiled. The Kedusha, the holiness was not there. And that's why it could still be a Galus. Okay. This Greek exile was a different type of exile. They weren't trying to kill us all like a Haman. That wasn't what they were trying to do. What were they trying to get us to do? Assimilate. Right? To give up our Judaism. They decreed against 4 fundamental aspects of Judaism. What were those 4? Circumcision, Rosh Chodesh, Shabbat, and Torah study. Right? Every Shabbos we read the Haftorah. We read from the prophets. Why are we reading from the prophets? That started during the time of Chanukah. When they prohibited us from reading Torah, we didn't want to completely give that up. We knew that the decree would eventually pass and we would still be here. Right? The decree passed long ago and we're all still here. Right? And we're having some incredible new members joining the flock, not just being here. Right? So we instituted that we would read from the prophets a portion that thematically connected to the Torah reading that we were not doing. Even when we were able to reinstate the Torah reading, we maintained that custom, and therefore we read the 7 aliyah from the Torah, and then we read from the Navi. Right? We have something called maftir at the end of the Torah reading. All right? What's that? We have 7 aliyot. The person that we're calling up, please. Okay. Thank you very much, Esther. Right? Anybody else? It's a big bag. And they're tasty. You can make a bracha. Okay. So, yeah, please. Go for it. So, well, I don't want to go to a tangent. So, we don't want to equate someone reading from the Navi with someone reading from the Torah. Mm-hmm. So the person for the Navi also will read the last few psukim of the Torah. So that way everyone's called up for the Torah. This one, so we really have 8 aliyot. We have 7 regular Torah readings, one that's just an end reading again, and then the prophet reading. Okay. These are all the basic essentials of Judaism. It's interesting to note that Chanukah, now we'll have your 8 days, Esther, that Chanukah kind of has a nod to all of these. Chanukah is 8 days. 8 days, of course, reminds us of Brit Milah, circumcision on the 8th day. 8 days necessitates we have at least one Shabbos. Some years we have 2. At least one Shabbos, right? We also have a Rosh Chodesh, right? It starts at 25th of Kislev and goes into Tevet, okay? And, of course, we have our Torah study. Okay. The Greeks wanted to, it's interesting, of each of the 3 Galiut exiles corresponds to to one of the 3 cardinal sins. The exile of Greece is compared to Shvichat Damim. Shvichat Damim is murder. But they weren't trying to murder us. So why do we compare that to Shvichat Damim? Shvichat Damim literally means
Something blood.
spilling the blood. Means what they wanted to do was take out the very life source of who we were. Leave the body, spill the blood. Take out the life source of who we were as Jews. And there were many mityavnim, those who were assimilating into this Greek culture, who loved the idea, who were very, very happy to assimilate in. And it was Yehuda Maccabi and his sons who mounted this, Maccabi comes, Mi kamocha be'elim Hashem, who is like you amongst the powers God. And they gathered and fought this incredible battle and destroyed, liberated, right? Was victorious in battle, liberated the Beit HaMikdash. They went in and everything had been defiled. And they found one flask of oil that had not been defiled. There was enough to burn for 1 day, and as everybody knows, it burned for 8 days. Great. What did they do on the 9th day? I love that question. What did they do on the 9th day?
They poured out, they couldn't reuse the oil, they got rid of all the oil and the wicks and everything. I mean,
So what did they light on the 9th day? We light the menorah every
they
day.
had made it.
Okay.
They had made the oil by then.
Okay. So the 2 approaches to that, and this is a great question, guys, because people have been celebrating Hanukkah their whole life, and they don't think about that question. So you can really knock their socks off. Wow. Okay. I'll give you guys some good ammunition over here. All right. Turn to someone who's been lighting Hanukkah for 50 years and ask them, so what do they do on the 9th day? Oh. So 2 approaches. One approach is they were tameh, they were impure. The purification process is a 7-day process. So they were able to start the purification process, 7 days. 8th day, make the oil. 9th day, they were up and running. One approach. Another approach is that they were getting their oil from a place called Tekoa that was a 4-day journey away. 4 days there. There was no Uber Eats, just call and just have 4 days to you. You had to get out there, 4 days back, right? 8 days, 9th day, they were up and running. Okay, 9th day, the menorah was up and running. Okay. This began, the 8 days began on the 25th day of Kislev, which actually, right, which is this Sunday night, Monday. Actually, that was a day in history long before that. Anyone? The
Mishkan was completed.
beautiful, beautiful. Is this from the
Book of our heritage.
Book of Our Heritage? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Strongly recommend Book of Our Heritage. Read up on each month as it comes around. Some months are longer than others. Kislev is a long one, right? Just wait till you get to Nisan, okay? But you had a little vacation by Cheshvan, right? And then you get wallets by Kislev. Okay, the Mishkan that we said they started to build on the 15th day of Tishrei, that's when we have our Sukkot holiday. It was all set, ready to go on the 25th of Kislev. But it was put on hold until Nisan, the first day of Nisan. So the 25th of Kislev was somewhat robbed. That was meant to be the day of the building, the dedication of the Mishkan. So it got its due. It got compensated for that. And the whole Chanukah miracle happened. Everything good?
She just likes to stare at us.
You're welcome to join us, sweetheart.
You don't have to stand there and stare at me.
Right?
Join
Right.
us.
There we go.
There you go. You can ask
So
questions
the
about
25th of Kislev got its due, so to speak, and Hanukkah begins then. Okay? Is just to finish what we started discussing before briefly. So Hanukkah aligns with Sukkot. What does Purim align with? 50, 50, 50.
Oh, yeah.
50-50 chance and you blow it. Yeah, right? So Purim aligns with Shavuot. Why?
Because of the Chag HaSif.
Hmm?
Chag HaSif? No?
What are you saying?
I'm saying that the festival of ingathering, is that Shavuot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No?
The actual gathering, that would be Sukkot. So we rededicated ourselves. Actually, the Gemara says, there's a teaching that it says by Shemot, by the Ciner experience, Vayichan Yisroel Tachat Har. Simple meaning is by the foot of the mountain. But the sages say that God, so to speak, held the mountain over our heads and said, accept the Torah or else. Okay? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the mountain was lifted over our heads, but the experience was so overwhelming, so evident, that we didn't really have a choice in accepting the Torah. So if that's the case, how can you hold me responsible? You forced me into doing something, right? How am I responsible? So Gemara says that we re-accepted it, me'ahava, with love, Purim time. So Purim time was a re-acceptance of the Torah. So therefore Purim aligns with Shavuot. Pesach, a future holiday of our complete redemption, that will align with Pesach. Okay? And actually, the Israel holidays that we have today, Yom Yerushalayim, the day of the liberation, reunification of Jerusalem, Yom Ha'atzmaut, right? So there are those that give it a certain religious power already now. Others say, yes, it's a great day, but let's wait for the real deal, the full deal. When it comes, then that will be our third rabbinic holiday. Okay. Chanukah is celebrated with lighting a Chanukiah. Okay? there actually is a debate in the Gemara. Do we light 1 the first day, 2 the second, 3, etc., or do we go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Okay, Beis Hillel, build up. Beit Shammai, work our way down. We know that we follow the opinion of Beit Hillel. Okay, in your Sidurim, there are brachot that we say. Page 8 something. Oh, maybe 7 something. No, 7 something. There we go. 782. Our scroll is very clear. All 3 blessings are pronounced before kindling the Chanukah menorah for the first time. On all subsequent nights, the 3rd blessing, Shechianu, is omitted. Okay, the first bracha, right, very similar to the Shabbat or Yom Tov candlelighting bracha. Asher kiddishanu v'tzotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Okay, you don't yet light. You make the second blessing. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu, who did miracles for our forefathers. Bayamim hahem, during those days. Bahazman hazeh, during this time. And that's actually very significant, guys, because we've mentioned before, I'm sure in many contexts, the Jewish calendar is not starting at one point and going out. We are cycles, and we re-enter each year. We re-enter that zone, okay? And Vayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh, right? God did miracles for them at that time, during those days, at this time, and we re-enter that time every year at Chanukah, okay? And that energy, that availability is here for us again. Still don't light the candles. First night, Shechianu, V'kiyamanu, V'higianu, Lazman Hazeh. Blessed you Hashem, Shechianu, that you kept us alive, V'kiyamanu, and you have sustained us, V'higianu, and we've reached Lazman Hazeh. We've reached this time. After that, the first night, 3 brachot, then you start to light the candles. Okay? Subsequent nights, first 2 blessings, then you start to light the candles. Right? We start off at the right-hand side of the menorah. This is my Chanukah over here, my menorah over here. We start from the right-hand side. Each night we add another candle moving to the left. Okay? But we light the new one each. So we're adding on right to left, but we light the new one on the 5th day. We'll light 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we'll add on another one, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay?
Yep.
As we are lighting, after the brachot, 3 on the first night, 2 on the first night, then right away you start lighting. Once one of them has been lit, then you could start to say this paragraph even as you're lighting the other ones. Why is it only once one of them has been lit that you'll start to say this paragraph of Haneret Halalu, these lights we kindle upon the miracles, the wonders, the salvations, the battles you performed for those days at the season through the holy priest during all these of Chanukah. These lights are sacred. We're not permitted to make ordinary use of them. Ella lirotam bilvad, but to look at them. Kedei lahodos lahalel l'shimcha gadol anisecha ve'al niflosecha ve'al yeshuasecha. So, why is it, guys, that you won't start to say this until you've lit the first candle?
You have to finish your bracha and fulfill the bracha.
Good. Otherwise, what is it?
The bracha in vain.
A blessing in vain. If I made a blessing and then I start to interrupt, whenever we make a blessing, I make the shahakal, I didn't say, how you guys doing? And then drink, right? whenever you make a blessing, whether it's a blessing on food stuff or if it is a blessing on a mitzvah, you want to make the blessing and then right away you do the mitzvah. Okay, we discuss a little bit of an exception is Friday night candle lighting. There, you don't make the blessing and then light the candles. Why don't you, fine women, make the bracha and then light the candles on Friday night?
Because the order affects whether or not you've accepted Shabbos.
Good. Once you've made that blessing, you've accepted Shabbos. Now we've got a problem for you to start lighting candles. So what do? But the mitzvah is to light the candles and to get hana'ah, to get benefit and to enjoy the candles. So you light the candles and then you cover your eyes so you're not getting benefit. Then you make the blessing and then you get the benefit. Open your eyes. Okay? Over here, there's no such issue. Right now, Chanukah, just to make very clear, Chanukah is a regular day in terms of work, in terms of driving, and right, it's not a Yom Tov, okay? So just be clear on that, right? We can cook, right? We can do, right? Typically, the women, right, while the first half hour that the candles are burning, right, so then the women don't do any work, okay? So guys, that's a time to start washing the dishes, doing the laundry, rolling up your sleeves, and getting to work. Okay. So we make
Say again, Rabbi.
I'm sorry.
Say again. When exactly the woman breast? I want to know.
Somebody tell Steve that I said this, okay? But only the first half hour. After that, I set a stopwatch, and it goes beep, and then I expect Natalie to get back to work. No more playing around.
I want to know who's gonna cook the latkes.
Okay, speaking, somebody brought up a latkes. Why do we have latkes?
Because of the oil.
Because of the oil. Okay, which brings us, what are we lighting? Okay, one can use candles. But the mitzvah min hamuvchar, the preferred, best way to do the mitzvah. Simone, I'm hearing myself bouncing back. Sorry, you have to mute.
Oh.
No talking back. Yeah. So the mitzvah min hamuvchar, the best chosen way to do the mitzvah is to use olive oil. Why to use olive oil? Because that's what the miracle took place through. The miracle took place with olive oil. That's what they used in the Beit HaMikdash. Okay? So the ideal, but you could also use candles. Okay? Now, if you're buying one of those boxes of those nice little Hanukkah candles, which are really, really cute, really nice, they're fine, except for,
How long they last?
well, except for Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's go through this a little bit, okay? The candles are meant to burn for a half hour. On the calendar, it says, I think it's 5:28 or 5:20, right, about 5, right, whatever it says, right? Now, if a person's coming home after that, so you can light after that. It's important that the family light together. I think it's a story with the Chafetz Chaim that it was getting very, very late and he hadn't yet lit, right? So we had a guest there who said, but Rabbi, in the Mishnah Brura that you yourself wrote, right? You're supposed to light right at the proper time. I said, yeah, but the mitzvah is also with the family. So I'm waiting for my wife to come home and then I will light. Okay? But once we light, we want it to burn for a half hour into the night. Friday night's going to be a problem because let's say into the night, 3 stars starts, let's say probably about five, let's say 5:30, but Shabbos is 25 hours. Why is Shabbos 25 hours? Well, is that a Jewish day, 25 hours? Why is Shabbos 25 hours? Jolene, what do you have to say about that? It's a good question, huh? Why is Shabbos 25 hours? What would you guys say?
You can add on to the mitzvah.
And to make sure that it's like Shabbat.
Okay, but let's get a little bit more, let's fine tune that, my dear
Better
friends.
safe than sorry. So.
But let's fine tune that also, my dear friend.
Does it blend into the next day?
I'm sorry?
It doesn't blend into the next day.
Okay, so we have a time period called Bein Hashmashot. We have our dusk period, right? Which is after the sun sets, before the stars come out. 42 minutes, typically. Okay? So is that time period of dusk, is that called dusk? That's called dusk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that dusk period, is that day or is that night? We're not sure. It's sort of in between. So on Friday, we have to treat it as night because it might be Shabbos, so we can't do any melacha starting at that point. On Saturday, though, we have to treat it as day. Okay? So the day is going to be 24 hours plus 42 minutes. All right? And we light candles typically 18 minutes before sunset. That's what the calendar is going to give you. Now, if you're running 2 minutes late, by all means, go ahead and light. If you're running 10 minutes late, if you're running 17 minutes late, then you missed it, right? Don't light. Don't break Shabbat to light Shabbat candles. That's really a bit counterproductive. Okay? 18 plus 42 equals 60. Okay? That is our 25-hour Shabbat. Again, so to fine tune, the dusk period, on Friday we have to treat it as Shabbat night. On Shabbos, on Saturday, we need to treat it as Shabbat day. So therefore, we expanded out those 42 minutes. Okay. It's time to light candles Friday night, to light Chanukah candles Friday night, right? So that's going to be a bit of a challenge because you need to light, let's say at, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but let's say at about 4:30, 4:40, whatever it is. And it's got to burn a half hour into the night. It's got to burn until 6 p.m. or 6:05, 6:10, whatever. So how do we navigate that? So if you're lighting oil, okay, now they do sell this ready-made 50 or 48 cups of oil, right? And with a wick in there and everything like that. They do sell that. It's a bit pricey, right? I've got these little glass. They sell it at OC Kosher selling them.
That's the one we have.
Are they selling this at OC Kosher?
The candles?
The candles or the cups.
I don't know. I don't work at the market.
I think that's
Yeah.
what we bought ours.
Okay.
I don't see it.
Right?
So,
Like
right, they sell those with little floating wicks, right? And you fill it up with just regular olive oil, right? You know, you don't need to buy special you need olive oil, right? Or they sell these floating wicks, or they sell this little metal tripod that bends around and other wicks that go inside. There are lots of different options. Okay. If you're lighting with oil, you don't have a problem because the oil burns for a good couple of hours. So you're good to go. If you're lighting with candles, so then what you should do is, or what you can do is use regular Shabbat candles to light instead of Chanukah candles. If you've got a small Chanukiah where those are not going to fit, so you don't really need a Chanukiah. What the Chanukiah accomplishes is it lines up the candles so it's clear what night it is. Okay? So you can simply take tea lights. Right? Friday night is going to be the sixth night of Chanukah. So you would line up 6 tea lights, and that becomes your lighting, and those burn a good couple of hours, so you're all set. So if you have a Chanukah already that takes candles and takes the thin candles, as most of them do, so then on Friday night you want to not use that, just line up the tea lights and do that. We have a number of lights per night, and then we have the shamish. The shamish is the one that serves, so to speak. If you have little candles, you use the shamish to light the others. If you have a tea light, that's going to be awkward. And if you have oil, don't try that at home, right? So then, nevertheless, we still light a shamish as an additional candle, and that's out of the line of the others. So that's clearly not part of the lineup. It's higher, it's off to the side. Yes, Esther.
So, do you light and then set your candles in the window, or do you light them in the window?
You need to light them where they're going to fulfill the mitzvah. So they should be set up by the window or set up by the doorway, however you want to do it. We set ours up outside. Our window, we have a kind of a fence in front, so we light by the window there. It's not visible to the street, so we set it up right outside our door. We have that little area there, right outside the door. Mezuzah to the right, Chanukah to the left.
Rabbi, can
Yeah.
you also emphasize on the height of it? I've heard there's a certain height that you need to be lower than.
Okay, it needs to be lower than 20 amot. 20 amot is about 30 feet high. Now, if you're in an apartment building, it means of your floor. Okay, so you don't want to put it up so high because that way the whole idea is Persuma Nisa, to publicize the miracle. So you've got to be able to see it. Okay, but regular window, table, everything will be fine. Okay. How many Chanukiot per house?
One for each family member, right?
Okay. Ashkenaz, Sfard, different approaches. Okay? Interesting. I'll give you guys a little Gemara class. We got you started already. A little Gemara class on how the two different customs evolved. Ashkenazim, everyone in the house lights. Right? Everyone in the house lights. Usually the wife is along with the husband, but each of the children will light. Okay? Sfard, one menorah per house. Where do these two customs come from? The Gemara says there's a base level of Chanukah. That is one candle, ner ish ubeito. One candle per household, per night. Night 1, you light one candle. Night 2, you light one candle. Night 3, you light one candle. Okay? The person is impoverished and can't afford candles. They'll light a sum total of 8 candles, one each night. The Gemara then says the Mahadrin, the way to do that better, to add hidur, to add beauty to this mitzvah, is that each person should light. So 3 people in the house, first night, how many candles? 3. Second night, how many candles? 3. Third night, how many candles? 3. The Gemara says the Mahadrin, min ha-Mahadrin, the better of the better, is first night 1 candle, second night 2 candles, 3 night 3 candles, 4 5, 6, 7, 8 candles. There are two ways to learn that Gemara. Is this third way saying you thought method number 2 was better? No, I've got a better method than that. Is it saying the Mahadrin, the better way, instead of beautifying this mitzvah by having each person light, the better way to beautify it is not each person lighting, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles the last night. That's how the Sfardim learn. That's the Tosfot, and that's how the Sfardim follow. Rambam, which is unusual, usually the Sfardim go with the Rambam, but here the Ashkenazim go with the Rambam. Rambam views it, no. The third step was not saying this is better than that. The third step was taking the second step and making it even better. So yes, everyone lights, and everyone lights 1 the first night, 2 the second night, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? But the Ashkenazic custom, I think everybody here is aligned to follow. The Ashkenazic custom is everyone lights. Okay? And the kids will typically bring home a Chanukah from school of some sort, and you're good to go.
That was my question. I was going to say, when you say everyone lights, that means everybody has a Hanukkah.
I don't know if Aliyah needs a Chanukah. Might be a little bit dangerous, but London can probably, with help,
Okay.
let her do it. It's a beautiful way for the family to get it.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful way to do that.
Awesome.
Okay. So again, Friday night, you need to light the longer lasting candles. You light Chanukah before your Shabbos candles. And Saturday night, after Havdalah, is when you light your Chanukah. Okay? Before Shabbos, light Shabbos candles. And Shabbos Havdalah, light your Chanukah Saturday night. So that's going to be later Saturday night until you get home, etc., etc. That's all fine. Okay. Let's take a look in our Sidurim. Let's see how the davening changes. Okay? We have Torah reading every day. Oh boy. Okay. I read the Torah during the week. I have to keep that in mind. Okay. We have Torah reading every day of Chanukah. We also say Hallel every day of Chanukah. But let's go to the Amidah. Okay? On page 114 or 112, then page 114. In the blessing of Modim, Modim is the Thanksgiving blessing. We add in, on the bottom there, the gray box on the bottom, Al Hanisim, for the miracles, Al Porkan, the salvation, Kavuros, the mighty deeds, Teshuot, the victories, Milchamot, the battles, Shasita, that you did, Lavotenu, for our fathers, Bayamim Ahim, once again, Bazman Hazeh. Right? In those days, at this time, we turn to page 114, and we have the paragraph that we put in to the left on Purim, and to the right, we have the Chanukah paragraph. Okay? I'm going to read through this. I want you to tell me what is conspicuously missing from this paragraph. In the days of Matisyahu, the son of Yochanan, the high priest, the Hashmonaim and his sons, when the wicked Greek kingdom rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah, to compel them to stray from the statutes of your will, you in your great mercy stood up for them in the time of their distress. You took over their grievance, judged their claim, avenged their wrong, delivered the strong into the hands of the weak, many into the hands of the few, impure in the hands of the pure, wicked into the hands of the righteous, and the wanton into the hands of your diligent students, into the hands of the diligent students of your Torah. For yourself you made a great and holy name in your world, and for your people Israel you worked a great victory and salvation as this very day. Thereafter your children came to the Holy of Holies of your house, cleansed your temple, purified the site of your holiness, and kindled lights in the courtyards of your sanctuary, and they established these 8 days of Chanukah to express thanks and praise to your great name.
The miracle of the oil.
The miracle of the oil is conspicuously missing. On the other hand, the Gemara in Shabbos asks, my Chanukah, what's Chanukah? And it tells the miracle of the oil. It asks, why did we establish Chanukah as a holiday? And it tells of the miracle of the oil and doesn't discuss the miracle of the battle. So why over here are we discussing the miracle of the battle and not the oil? And over there, in the blessing of thanks, we're discussing the miracle of the battle and not the oil. And over there, we're discussing the miracle of the oil. We're asking, why was Chanukah established? We discuss the miracle of the oil and don't mention the battle.
The Gemara only mentions the oil because battles come and go and powers come and go, but it's the lasting message of the miracle that was meant to be more established than just like a military battle.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? No pressure as the camera goes to
Slowly.
you. Back to you, Bob. Okay. Yeah. So let me expand a little bit on what Gabriella was saying. The blessing of thanks. We're thanking God. This is the Alanisim is in the blessing of thanks. And by the way, it's also in Birkat HaMazon. If you have bread and you're bench, after which we say Birkat HaMazon, we bench, Alanisim is also included in there. Okay? Just halachically, before I forget, if a person forgot to say Al Hanisim and you already started the bracha afterwards, Baruch Atah Hashem, then you don't go back to say it. Okay? Now, this is the blessing of thanks. What are you and I, us, here in this room? Are we thankful for the military victory or are we thankful for the oil?
Both.
Well, let's say they did not find a flask of pure oil. They beat the army, they cleansed the temple, and on day 9, what did they start to do? Burn the oil. Would that have affected you or I in any way? Not really. Had they lost the battle, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. You guys wouldn't be interested in joining up. We wouldn't be here. We'd all be eating Greek yogurt. That's it. That's all we'd be doing. Do you like Greek yogurt? Okay. So when it comes to my giving thanks, right, the blessing of Modim, we thank you, Hashem, for all that you've done for our lives, right? The miracles every day, your wonders, your favors, evening, morning, afternoon, right? Your compassion, right? We're thanking God for that miraculous victory. Were it not for that miraculous victory, we would not be here. We would have been swallowed up by the other nations. Without the oil, okay. So we'd be sitting here and tell you the story, and there was a miraculous victory, and 8 days later they were able to restart the service in the temple. And that would be okay. Okay. The 6-Day War, 1967. No wars take place in 6 days. We saw what just happened in Afghanistan, right? What's happening in Yemen, what's happening in Syria. 6 days, right? Halavai only would have been 6 years. Incredible, incredible miracle. But Israel had the element of surprise, right? Israel gained superiority in the air. Israel did this. Israel did that. Israel was far better trained. The Arab armies were confident, but they weren't well on. We can always explain. My Chanukah, the Gemara asks, what is this Chanukah? Why was Chanukah established as a holiday? Well, the miracle of the oil, that made it very clear that this was not fantastic guerrilla tactics by the few against the many, by the well-trained against the whatever, right? All the excuses, all the explanations that we give. The miracle of the oil clearly showed Hashem's involvement. That is what the Gemara focuses on, right? Were it not for that, then maybe this would not have been established as a holiday, because military victories can always be explained away through different strategies, whatever it might be. And one very important last point. So the miracle of the oil wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. So we would have started on day 9, and even further, according to many opinions, not all opinions, if everyone is in a state of impurity, then we'd be allowed to burn the oil even though the oil had been made impure. So it was a non-necessary miracle. So why would God go about doing a non-necessary miracle?
Because the people wanted to get rid of their defilement before they started the process of creating the oil. So they waited the amount of time that was necessary to remove the defilement.
The people so Esther's saying the people wanted to do it in a state of tahara. Okay, so we could have waited till day 9 also. What's the message that Hashem is giving to us by doing this miracle? I love you. I care. Right? In a relationship, if you only do the things that you have to do, the clock's ticking on that relationship, my friends. The clock is ticking. If you're only doing what you have to do, right? Would you mind taking out the garbage? Do I have to? Not going to go well. What's for dinner? Do I have to make dinner? It's not going to go very well, right? In a relationship, we don't limit to what we have to do. We want to do for the other. And Judaism is the epitome of a relationship between us and Hashem. Right? We can't forget that, guys. Every mitzvah that we do, everything that we do is all about building this relationship, building this connection. And it works 2 ways, right? And Hashem showed us He cares. And He wants our avodah. He wants our service. And therefore, to a great degree, we're celebrating this miracle that we didn't need. So by doing so, we're celebrating this relationship. We're celebrating this love. That is what Chanukah is bringing to us. haba aleinu l'tova. Right? May it be a miraculous, redemptive time for us as individuals in our lives, with all the things that everyone is always contending with. Everyone has their olamo, their world, with all of their challenges. And may it be a miraculous deliverance time for the Jewish people throughout and in Israel. Yes.
So, Rabbi, I have a question. So, when Natalie did her teaching on Rosh Chodesh, and it's a time of renewal, and also Hanukkah as well as a time of renewal. So, when there's the Rosh Chodesh during Hanukkah, it's like
a lot of energy.
a lot of, yeah, that's my question. So, are there certain ways that you should, do you do the regular Rosh Chodesh, or there, how do you tap into that a little bit more fully?
I would say in general, the key to tapping in is realizing that the opportunity is there and focusing on that, right? Usually we just kind of let things just slip by.
Awareness.
Awareness. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say to try to think of what hitchadshus, what renewal is it that you could use, and try to work on that, commit to that. Chanukah, think about what deliverance, what yeshuot, right, could you use in your life, and to prime ourselves for that, to gear ourselves towards that. All right, guys. Good seeing everybody. I could say goodnight to who we got here. We got Leticia, Simone, Elizabeth, and Tara. Everybody could.
Do we have class next Tuesday?
Yeah. Yes, there will be class. There'll be class next Tuesday. Yes. And also the week after that, if we can do it on Monday night instead of Tuesday night. If that works for you guys. If anyone's going away, be away on vacation, I understand it will all be recorded. And Tara, we should probably get to see you in person one of these weeks, right?
Yeah, next week I should be there, Bezrat Hashem, and yeah, the following 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, beautiful.
Looking forward to
We
it.
look forward. Okay. Good
Thank
night,
you, me
everybody.
too.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Rabbi, can I steal a couple minutes of your time?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the prayers last week.